I was taught in seminary that when you begin a homily, you should never begin by retelling the gospel because they just heard it. However, I would like to retell today's gospel, even though you just heard it. Not because you're deaf, but because there are some very minute details which if we just read them, we don't understand what is going on. The first is this: Jesus is leaving Jericho, one of the most ancient and historic of all cities. As he does, it says that there is a sizable crowd leaving with Jesus. We can presume that they're leaving with Jesus because they believe in him. They're his followers. Maybe they're his disciples. Maybe they're the 12 apostles. But we know that Jesus is leaving Jericho. And it's very important to know that he's leaving Jericho, because as he's leaving Jericho, he encounters who? Bartimaeus. Where are the misfits, the untouchables, the poor, the oppressed, the unwanted? Where will you always find them? Outside the city. Outside our homes. Outside the places that we don't want them in. So Jesus is leaving with a crowd of people who most likely agree with Jesus, and they come across Bartimaeus. And he's begging because he's blind. He can't see. He has no ability to get a job. He has no profession except to sit at the gates of the city and beg. Bartimaeus, hearing that Jesus of Nazareth, who he's heard rumors of people talking as they come in and out of the city about this man who heals people, cries out, "Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me." And the crowd does what? The crowd who follows Jesus, the crowd who believes in Jesus, does what? They rebuke him and tell him to be silent because he's ugly and annoying. He's a nuisance. He's blind. He's deformed. He's not like us. We don't like him. But Jesus hears his cry. Jesus hears his cry. And Jesus says to the crowd, call him. Jesus disagrees with the crowd. Jesus acts in total revolt of the crowd and says, call him. And this is what's key. What does the crowd then do? Does the crowd try to persuade Jesus? Oh, Jesus, don't talk to him. He's a beggar. Jesus, don't talk to him. He's blind. Jesus, don't talk to him. He's not one of us. What does the crowd do? No, the crowd realizes they were wrong. They knew they were wrong. What does the crowd do? The crowd says, get up. Take courage. Jesus is calling you. They go from being nasty and telling Bartimaeus to be silent to all of a sudden being one with the poor and the oppressed and the lonely and the blind. The crowd turns like that. And I would say that not much is different in our day and age. This past week I heard a very, very inspiring story. This story actually began not just this past week, but about a year ago. A year ago, there was a young lady on my cross-country team, and she said to me, "Hey, Father, guess what we're doing?" And I said, "What are we doing?" And she said, "We're beginning a new club at school." And I said, "Great, what type of club is it?" And she said, "Well, the whole point of the club is to do really nice things to people without wanting to be recognized." I'm like, "What?" She said, "We call it the A-OK Club. The whole point of the club is to acts of kindness. A-OK." And I said, "And you're starting this club?" And she said, "Yeah, it's really neat. I've gotten a few people to join, and we're going to see if we can get more." So I told this girl, I was so impressed. I was like, "That's awesome. Like, I don't know many like high school teenagers that want to start doing random acts of kindness to people that they don't even know." I was like, "Heck, I said to her, I said, if you want, I will get t-shirts printed up for your whole entire club because I think that's awesome. So this year, she said, Father, we now have like 20 people in our club. She said, do you want to get us t-shirts still? I said, sure. So this past week, the t-shirts came in and I gave her the box of t-shirts. I said, how's the club going? She said, Father, it's awesome. I said, well, tell me some things that are happening. She said, well, there was a kid that every single day at lunch sat by himself and no one talked to him and no one ever included him in anything. And he was never involved in sports or music or drama or anything. So we asked him to be a part of our club because we thought that would be an act of kindness. So he joined and he comes to our meetings. And she said, you want to know what the really exciting thing is? Is that last night he texted me and he gave me the name of a girl in his class who sits at lunch by herself, who has no friends. And we're going to ask her to join our club as well. As I heard this young teenage girl who is popular, who does have friends, my heart was like literally bursting with joy. As they themselves are going out and trying to change people's lives one person at a time. To destroy the power of the crowd by seeking to love people one person at a time. I was literally bewildered. And as I reflected upon what this girl did and what she's doing and what now this group is doing, it made me think about a lot of the people that we hold up as Catholics as pillars of great acts of kindness. Raise your hand if you would agree that Mother Teresa is pretty awesome. Why do people love Mother Teresa? Because she does what we find to be disgusting. People would be laying in the street in their own fecal matter, and she would pick them up with her bare hands, not gloves. She didn't use hand sanitizer. She would pick them up, hug them, and carry them to her house. Bathe them, clothe them, and give them a death of dignity. And one after one after one after one, she changed people's lives. Why is the media right now totally in love with Pope Francis? Why do they love to take pictures of Pope Francis embracing the sick, the crippled, the disabled? Why does the Pope make a big deal why does the media make a big deal that the Pope literally said to the U.S. Congress, I don't want to have lunch with you, I'm going to go eat with the poor people at the homeless shelter? Because Pope Francis is doing what we don't do. Because Pope Francis realizes in the power of one. The power of one. What does Jesus present to us today? I believe that Jesus presents to us today the fact that we are not to follow the crowd, but we are to look for the one who is outside the crowd, who is not accepted, who is not loved, who the crowd turns on, and show that person the dignity, the respect, and the love that is their due as a human being. Every human person is born with dignity, and whenever that dignity is taken away from them, that is a crime. And we as Christians are called to change people's lives one person at a time by embracing, by loving, by paying attention, not to the crowd. What does the crowd say? Let's be very, very clear about what the crowd says, because I will tell you, I have been part of the crowd for a huge part of my life. What does the crowd say? The crowd likes the strong. The crowd likes the beautiful. The crowd likes the popular, the witty, the well-dressed, the athletic, the rich, the intelligent. That's what the crowd likes. And Jesus is not with the crowd. Name one person in the Bible that Jesus affirmed that was part of the crowd, and you'll find none. In fact, what do you find in the Gospels? The fact that the crowd turns on Jesus. The crowd will ultimately crucify Jesus. We are called to look outside of the crowd. We are called to see that those outside are those who we are called to love, those who we are called to embrace, those who we are called to treat like Jesus would. So I ask you a question this evening. Who in your life that you know, who is one person that you know that is lonely, oppressed, awkward, left out, disabled, annoying, untouchable, disgusting? Because that is who God is calling you right now to love. We sell out again and again and again to the crowd. And yet Jesus wants us to love those who we often find repulsive. This stained glass window up here on the far right is a stained glass window of St. Francis of Assisi. If you know anything about his, not that one, this one. If you know anything about the life of St. Francis of Assisi, his life changed when he did the one thing that he found to be most repulsive. What was that? Hugging a leper. He embraced a leper, knowing very well that he might get that same disease. But in doing so, his heart melted and his life was set on fire. Will we, for the rest of our lives, follow the strong, the pretty, the popular, the rich, the intelligent, those who have an easy life, or will we choose to be like Jesus and go against the crowd? Will we choose to call those who are outside the crowd to be with us? During Respect Life Month, particularly, we as Catholics are called every single day to put ourselves outside the crowd. The crowd says that Planned Parenthood is okay. The crowd says that killing the elderly is okay. The crowd says we want more, the poor get less is okay. That is not what it is to be a Catholic. What it is to be a Catholic is to go against the crowd and to love those who are outside the norm and to treat them with great respect. I ask of you boldly to pray tonight that God will give you the grace this week, at least once. For those of you who want to be bold, ask God every single day. Say, God, I pray tonight that every single day this week, you will give me an opportunity to love someone outside the crowd, outside my comfort zone, outside my intimate circle of friends and families and my bubble of comfort that I surround myself with. Pray that you may be like Jesus and call those who are outside of us to be with us, to show them their dignity, their beauty, and their worth. Blind Bartimaeus, we believe, was healed because Christ called him. May many people in our world who are hurt because of being left out and not being with Jesus come to know him by us being his voice and calling them to be with the Lord.